and they join me now. Welcome to the CJN Daily, both of you. It's good to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And this is the first time you're actually seeing each other or speaking to each other actually in person.
It's a great honor. It's a great honor to see Rain. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
We've been writing together.
We've been emailing for a few years now.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. How did you find about each other? And I assume this is a Michael start because Michael is the one who is sort of keeps all the letters and files and is the historian in the family.
True.
When my father died in 2010, I went through all these boxes and was put together the letters he wrote to his mother during the war. And I thought I went through everything, but some years later, I found a small plastic canister with a roll of negatives. And I'd looked at it before and it just had Canadian soldiers doing sports events in Holland. But I thought, I'm just going to get these printed. And when they came back, there were a number of civilian shots. And one of them struck me. My father was sitting on the fender of his officer's car, a 1938 Packard convertible. And next to him was a very beautiful Dutch assumed nurse. They had the same position on the fender. And they both had the biggest grin on their faces, which, leads you to think that they're good friends. And I had known that there was an Ada from one photo my father kept of Ada with his beret on. And he told me at one point in my interviews with him years ago that she was a very brave Dutch nurse involved in the underground, saving Allied soldiers and smuggling them into Belgium. I mean, I barely knew any of this. And I thought, well, I've got this new photo. It's fabulous. I'm going to start genealogical research out there and see if she's alive or anybody's alive. And it went to very distant people related. Finally, and very luckily, to Rain, because he responded in such a positive way. It was very exciting. And since then, we've been in touch.
Okay, before we go any further, for younger listeners who don't know what a negative is, it's like film from a camera from the old days. And then this was when that you made contact first
I think it was around 2020, I believe.
So just in the pandemic, around the time the pandemic started.
Yes.
And Ren, did you know about this photo or this romance at all from your side?
This photo?
Thank you. Yes.
Is that a photo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought so. I with two photos. No, I think this photo I knew, and then there was a photo of my mother with a beret in The Hague, at close to the where the government is, and that beret, that I understand afterwards was a beret which was of Gary. Yeah.
So Jerry, the father.
Yeah.
But how did she tell you about this? Like when she was young or at the end of her life? How did you know who this guy was?
My mother had a small little box with her, let's say, secret little things. She had that I hadn't seen before. She once in a while talks about small little things what happened during the war. And one of the things we all knew, my brother and my sister and my father knew about Jerry. And that they met, and that they had parties together, and that he had a special relationship. And we found in the box at that time, we found letters of Jerry. And that box we only got into basically after my mother died. Those letters were, of course, were nice to read, to see. And then Michael came up with via I think a niece or a cousin of mine, and she approached me, and then we started communicating.
So you actually could be brothers by the twist of fate.
Yeah.
My brother was always worried, one of his conspiracies, that we had family in Europe. That worried him all his life.
Half true.
Now, can you tell me how old each of you were and when each of you were born, just to see the difference in age?
Well, I'm from 11 March 1952.
And I'm from July 10, 1951.
So not too far apart.
No, that's
Are
right.
you both the firstborn of your families?
No.
No,
No. Okay.
I'm number 2.
I'm number 2.
All right. You had a special exchange of gifts or artifacts as well. And tell me about that, Michael, that process, and then Ren as well.
Well, I knew that the family had kept some precious gifts from 1945 that my father had left with Ada. He left on a plane, probably maybe New Year's Eve, sad time. I know he left
That's
champagne because they celebrated with champagne, and Ada felt very mixed feelings, not joy, but it was a new year. He left a radio that was very important to him. He used it in Europe. I see it in his mother's letters. And he also left his Canadian flag. And Ren had told me about this at that time, and he'd said, "Do you want it?" And I couldn't think of a reason I needed the flag in 2020. I thought maybe it would go to a famous museum there. How do you pronounce that museum?
Kruller-Müller.
Yes.
Kruller-Müller.
Kruller-Müller, because Dad and the soldiers had helped remove paintings, but they couldn't find a use for it. So it stayed. Then in February, when we were having this beginning of the onslaught from the United States president, 5 of our ex-prime ministers said, "Fly the flag, be patriotic. This is the time." And I thought, well, I don't have there is a flag, and it's in the Netherlands. I will write to my friend Ren. And he got back to me, "I will look for it." And he kept looking for it and never stopping until almost the 80th anniversary in May, right now. And I was hopeful, but I also realized that old stuff goes. And suddenly, a couple of days ago at the door, the ring happens, a soft envelope comes, not your Amazon, a soft one. The mailman hands it, and I can't believe it. I felt it. I said, it must be. I took it in the living room. My eldest daughter, my wife, and our friend who'd come from Ontario, who comes from Dutch ancestry. She was there, and I slid it open, and I opened and held it up. And I was very emotional. 80 years, I said, this has come back. But when I really got emotional is when I read this amazing letter that Ren had written with the support of his sister and brother. How do you pronounce their names?
Annelies is my younger sister, and my brother is Dan.
Dan. Have to read parts of it online at some point, and then I couldn't get through it, and I moved off from the living room. So they knew that something important had come, because I hadn't told them that I was doing this. And so that's how it got here and how exciting it is. And it's just a couple of days ago. And I mean, it's, I'm sorry about this. Here
it is.
I can't hold it properly, but it's all here. Now, oh, good, thank you. It either has, I can't
It's
tell.
upside down.
Well, that's not going to help. It either has insect holes in it. I've been looking to see if there's any bullet holes, but I can't see any. But this flag would have been with the Canadian troops through Europe as they liberated countries. And these Canadian troops, men and women, have a place.
Red ensign.
Red ensign.
Ensign.
Ensign. It's
ensign.
It was the flag before 1965, before we got the maple leaf flag.
No.
And this kept the troops moving. It has power. It has strength. And the Canadian troops who were developing the strength, I have to push this little book here, The Best Little Army in the World.
Branstein's book. It's a great book.
This is important to show how the Canadian troops developed from university students, non-military, to being a fighting force. And so I feel this flag has power because we need it today. We've got 4 more years of trouble, and we need something to show us.
Maybe more,
but he is going into his 80s. It shows us what we can do when we all join together. And I know I'm going on, but we have allies just now. Ren, he is an ally in the Netherlands right now in May. Canadians have allies around the world. I'm going on to my soapbox. So
Ren, why did you decide you wanted to give this flag back when it's such a big part of your family's story all these years?
No, the reasons Michael gave to me. I mean, first of all, it is of course nice to give something back, and it will have a very important tool to Michael, because he said to me also, he wrote to me, we fought for democracy in Europe, and he said, well, this flag symbolizes it. And now we in Canada, and we all are fighting also for democracy, but against someone else or someone else in the south of the southern border of you. So then I thought, well, that's is a good thing to give back and to let it do its job.
Where did you keep it all these years? Do you know?
My mother kept it. I stored it, and she had that small little box, and there the flag was. Then it's it has been also. I've had it at a certain moment. I've had it, I think, on a wall, but not so very long. And then I brought it with me from Holland to France, where I showed it to Michael on the photo. Do you want to have it? Then we stole it away again. My wife stole it away, and then I didn't know where it was anymore. But then my son, he had saved for many years a bottle of whiskey, and he found that bottle of whiskey, and there that flag was as well.
Where was it? It was a Canadian whiskey?
I don't know. He took the bottle, and I took the flag.
What does the flag smell like and feel like? You said there's holes in it, and there's like maybe moth damage. Is there anything else on it?
I didn't smell too bad when I found it again. I thought I would find some beer or so. But,
yeah, it's a very rough material. I don't know what it is. I mean, the only thing I can feel close to is burlap, but it's not burlap. It's something else.
I've seen those flags 2 days ago. There was a show of all army equipment and army trucks. And then, because I know the flag, then I looked at the flags and I saw the maple leaf. But then I saw also this flag on a couple of those trucks. So I made pictures of those and sent them to Michael as well.
I love them. And you know, Ren also has his feelings about Europe and the need for strength and democracy. And I thought, what across the Atlantic friendship continues politically?
Oh, well, friendships and having the same, let's say, values, same values. I think those are important, and I think now also Canada has those same values. And I nowadays, a few days ago, I heard on the news that there are a lot of Canadian companies which want to do business with Holland. It was very surprising to learn about it. So that Dutch connection that seems to be still to exist for many years, and now comes up again. Now,
I wanted to ask you, Rain, about your mom, because Michael mentioned that she was in the underground doing her nursing, trying to
yeah,
save Allied forces. What do you know about that?
yeah. What would you like to ask me?
Tell us a little about what you know.
Well, during the war, first of all, she was a nurse in Arnhem, and Velp. Basically, Velp is in the suburb of Arnhem. During that, and she came from Apeldoorn. Now, Otterlo is between Apeldoorn and Arnhem.
So all these
Um,
places are where the Canadians were.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Um, what did she do besides being a nurse? She cycled a lot, and she cycled for the resistance. A nurse is generally a person who can cycle around and show a paper, and she has to go to help some people somewhere in a city or in the countryside. So if there were German checkpoints, then she would pass. For the resistance, it was she was first of all was a messenger. So she took the messages in her handlebars, or she put it somewhere else, and but she took it, and then she often, that she has told me, that could be a small little, let's say, kitchen, where she had to put a message on, let's say, on this one under one side of the table, and then she left again. It could also be that she had to pick up another message for someone else. All secrets, so she didn't know names or whatever. If she would be caught, then she couldn't tell much. Then there were, of course, all those planes from the RAF, etc., flew over Holland, and some were shot down by Germans, and some pilots, luckily enough, got out of the plane before it crashed, so they got it down with their parachutes, and they landed. And then it was also important that the resistance got those guys first, and put them somewhere in hiding. Then they were in hiding. Then, of course, someone had, after they got a bit of recovered, had to those guys wanted to go back. So then you had to route, let's say, from Holland, either via Switzerland or via Belgium, through France to Spain to Portugal. Portugal was the place where they could. And so she took guys, them on a bicycle, on their own bicycle. But the problem, of course, with pilots, British pilots or whatever, maybe Canadian pilots, is that they don't speak Dutch. So then they gave the clear instructions to those guys that they shouldn't speak. And if they were asked something, if there was a checkpoint, then they only had to say ja or nee and nothing more, because then the Germans would know what happened. So she took then those guys. She did then the talking of the checkpoint. They passed the checkpoint and managed to take them through, let's say, to the border with Belgium. This is quite a trip in total. And then there, someone else was waiting somewhere in the woods to take them on to France, and all. It was a whole thing. And somewhere in a book that my brother found, there was written about a person we know of, and my mother knows of, and he was a pilot, and he he got in that book, and he told in that book how he got back to the UK and could fly again. And that was guy, his name was Pat. Yeah. So that was those things were done, and yeah.
Did
And
you
then,
have any information whether she was ever caught or injured or in
then I
prison?
don't know.
And no, anyone in your family get killed or Gestapo took them?
Yeah, my father has been in jail and in the concentration camps twice in Germany. Yeah.
Which camps was he
But
in?
he didn't told a few stories, uh, but not very much. No.
Why was he captured? Because he was also in the resistance, or was he Jewish? What was
Yeah,
this?
he no he no
He was in the
no
resistance.
he was in the resistance
Ah,
also, and he did the first time he stole the gun of a German officer in a train. Was not such a good idea, and the other time he was also caught, but twice. And he went to in Scheveningen. You have
Scheveningen, yeah, the prison.
a jail, Oranje
Yeah.
Hotel, and he was in the Oranje Hotel also. And yeah, and I take
But they didn't know each other then, your parents, right? Or they did?
my parents knew one another. Yeah, I think somewhere in the war, yeah, friendships, nothing. No, no,
But there wasn't this love triangle, is what I'm trying to say with Michael's
no.
dad. It was completely separate.
That was separate
Understood.
because my my parents got married in 40, 46, 47, 46 or 47. Yeah. No, no.
Do you know why, and this is for either of you, the romance didn't go any further? Was religion at all a part of it? Or was just the war? What was the reason, do you think?
Well, Dad left. He'd waited and waited and waited to be demobilized, and he only had his mother in Toronto. His brother and father had died before 1930, so he was the sole supporter of her. And he had to get back and make a business and a life. And I think that was a huge part of being unable to find the money and the time to fly back. I can't speak. His mother was pretty religious. I know when my dad in 48 met my mother in Vancouver and married her in about 4 or 5 days. I think his mother, the story went, the first question she asked on the phone, is she Jewish? And I know other families where the mother would say, I'll sit Shiva, is that it? If you marry outside. But I never heard that ever. And my dad had lots of girlfriends who were not Jewish. So I think he loved Ada very much. I think it was after the war and the distance and the financial situation. You know, that's all I can say at this point, because he never spoke. He wouldn't speak about old girlfriends. He was married to my mom, like your mother and dad, for 48 years. You leave them. And yet, one thing that I found, and I was confused, Ada's parents or mother gave a gift to Dad of a painting from the family. And I thought it was one, but it was another. And it hung in the house. I believe this is the one I have that's the correct one. I thought it was another one that hung behind Mom's head at the dining room table, which I thought wouldn't have been appropriate. This was another one that wasn't out, but I think this is a relative, a distant of the family.
Is on the painting, is there on the right hand side, is there mentioned vrolijk?
I can't see it at this point, but I have researched.
Are the cows on it?
That's right. It's the cows. There are lots of cows.
Cows. Well, my grandmother from my mother's side, she was a vrolijk, and her father was of course a vrolijk, and he was a painter. And well, I got here an etching of him. So I would expect that this painting
Yes.
was given by my grandparents
Yes.
to your father,
Yes,
No, no.
I keep it in my room now. So we have a very strong connection. 80 years later now, the flags come, and it's going to go a long way to helping us in Canada. And I have to thank you, Ren, for this unbelievable gift. Best gift ever.
That's a nice one.
Very
When are
nice.
you two meeting each other?
I
I mean, you've written a book together, so when are you going to meet each other?
I don't travel, unfortunately, but
No.
Ren comes to Vancouver, we'll celebrate him here.
Yeah. Now then we have to bring some champagne because that's your father liked it much.
Sounded like it was a very sad breakup for both of them. And
But
there
I
was
know
issue of mail, and Army mail was the only mail going, and yeah, it was tough.
that they wrote letters, and I thank Michael for sending me the letters of my mother because that was very nice to read.
And
And
you to me. We shared our letters, the love letters, and they're quite touching.
yeah,
It is an incredible story. I'm glad Ren came on and shared stories that I've never heard before about his mother, who my dad honored to the last. He always spoke of her not as the love person so much, but as the brave resistance fighter. That was to her core. And he would know if someone had that core because he fought with brave people all those years. He knew the character of Ada.
How old were they at the time? Do you know? Can you figure it out?
my mother was in war. Let's say from she was 20 when it started, and let's say in 20 she was 25, 26 when Jerry and Ada met one another.
And
I'm sure, Michael, that my mother always kept a small little place in her heart for Jerry. Yes, I'm sure.
And like your mother, my dad was a very private person about these issues.
Yeah.
He would be probably not pleased that we're talking at this point
Oh,
about
that's right.
a 4-month romance after he had a 45-year marriage. And neither would, but it's a good story for us and Ellen.
How old would Gerald have been?
He was born in 1914, so I'm assuming he was 30-ish, but I don't have my calculator here, but I do. So if
No, he's 31.
Thank you. Math whiz. Okay.
You don't know exactly where their meet cute was, where they met. I mean, I'm saying meet cute because that's now how it would, where they actually first met. Was it at a restaurant or something?
May I think I've brass hat. Does that say anything to you?
Yes.
And where was that? Do you know?
I haven't looked up the location. It was probably an army pub or restaurant or nightclub set up for the Canadians. But it's Ren's sister that found the date and the location of their first meeting in a diary, in your mom's diary, because that's somewhere in the back of that little booklet I did.
Okay. No.
It obviously made an impression on her. This was after the May 8th, though. It wasn't during the fighting.
No, they got together at the end of August, I believe, in 1945. The peace had been there a long time, and all the Canadians were wining and dining. Certainly my father, who was an officer, had so much to do in terms of social life. And that's where the fraternization went on with the local people. And he took Ada, I believe, to a very important celebration, perhaps at the palace at the end of their time together, when my dad and some Canadian officers won a medal. I have it in English, the Order of Orange Nassau. It's
Nassau. Yeah.
That's Nassau.
Oranje Nassau.
And you can see here, this is the one of the ribbon. And on this, it's this one here, cross or something.
Yeah.
So you're holding up, just for our listeners who aren't watching the YouTube, it's his panel of medals. It's miniature size that he would have had after the war that he would wear.
But I believe he took Ada to that event where the royals were, and I think she commented in one of her letters about the pleasure of it.
So this was King Bernhard, I guess, was back.
Prince Bernhard.
Yes.
Prince Bernhard was back. Wow. That is something. And so now you have the flag. Where's the beret?
I have it.
Put it on. I've got to see it.
I don't have it. I have it here, but I can't
okay.
find it now. No.
Okay.
And the radio, is it still there?
I never heard of the radio, but I think it was a small little brown radio.
Mhm.
Is that right?
I believe it was. Was it shortwave, maybe? Was it shortwave, maybe?
I had AM, I think, and LM. And she was very touched to that radio. But I thought, well, it's just a radio. But
Finally, is there anything you want to talk and tell each other that you haven't said over email all these years about this latest connection with the flag that and the 80th anniversary?
I've just learned so much from Rain today, from his stories, and thanks to you, Ellen, that I never would have heard without you bringing us together. I didn't know most of what Rain's told me.
Yes, cool.
Thank you.
And what about you, Rain? What questions do you have for Michael, or anything you want to say?
No, it's amazing to meet one another after all those years and to hear a lot of things I also didn't know before. Let's say, for instance, this little radio. Great to meet.
Yes.
And great to meet you also, Ellen. It's very nice that you brought us together, because I also was a bit reluctant, because just like Michael said about his father, my mother was pretty private, and I also had to think about it, whether it was such a good idea to talk too long about it. Yeah.
And thank you for doing it, and thank you for doing it for Canada. This is your resistance, part of your resistance.
Hard.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that you could say. It is the resistance goes on. You have to fight for democracy.
Yes.
All right. It's been an honor to have the two of you together. I'm so thankful for you coming on the CJN Daily. And we'll do this again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rain, and
Thank you very much.
Ellen.